Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All Things Middle-earth here, and if you're like me, I talk about the state of this game a lot. We talk about, if we're unhappy with it, if the experience for new players is any good, the communication from the devs, all these different things we talk about as a community, just on streams and videos, whatever. And really, I haven't done this before for this game, but it dawned on me when seeing some other videos for another game we're playing on the channel, well, here's Middle-earth. And a lot of people are looking at the analytics, the monthly revenue, the downloads, and all that. And I haven't done that for Rise to War. So first, let me just say, I'm not an expert on like app analytic data, so just take all this with a grain of salt if you want to. But I thought I would look up and share with you guys exactly how much this game is making every month and how many people are downloading this game every month. So I think those are honestly the two most important factors for us as players to kind of gauge how this game is actually doing. Now, again, obviously we can be happy with it, unhappy with it, but at the end of the day, if it's making money, the game's going to continue being supported. If it's not, it's not. So I want to share those things with you, as well as some opinions for myself on how I think both of those categories can be improved. What the devs can do, one thing each to increase revenue and one thing to increase monthly downloads. So stay tuned. All that info is coming up in just 1 second. All right, so first up, we're going to look at Google Play. Now, again, bear in mind, I'm not an expert at this, so feel free to comment if you have thoughts or ideas on how this looks, but I'm just looking at the data. This is for NetEase specifically, so how Rise to War is doing amongst their other games as a company. We'll also look at how it's doing in the category of like mobile strategy game. So first of all, for Google Play here, you can see we have Rise to War. Here's the it's not in English here, but this is Rise to War. So downloads last month, we have 100,000 downloads in the last month for Rise to War, and revenue last month, we have $1 million in revenue. I don't know why it says it as 1,000K, but it's a million. That's why when you sort by revenue, it's up here with Viking Guard and this Harry Potter Magic. So it looks like a newer game because it's got a lot more downloads. There's a lot more on the Apple side for that. But in terms of revenue in Google Play, it is keeping pace with their other two most, revenue producing games, at least for the Google Play side. So overall, you can see here, there's 4 million in revenue last month for their games that they're doing here, and Rise to War is a fourth of that. So at least for me, just looking at that company, again, I don't know how overall they are doing and if that's very good, very bad. So maybe people have more insight into that. But it's not like we're looking at their revenue and we see Rise to War way down here at 60,000, and we're going, hey, that's like a very small piece of their pie. But it's a fourth right now. So in terms of support, at least from the Google Play side, I feel like it's solid. Downloads, again, 100K I don't think is bad for the age of the game. The only games that are above it are this newer Harry Potter game. There's this Viking Guard 200K. There's another one, this Lost Light at 200. Other than that, everything else is there's one other at 100, and the rest are way lower. So I don't think 100K downloads is bad for the age of the game, but that is the stats for Google Play. Now on to the Apple side. If you look at the Apple side, you can see that they have made 1 million in revenue. Their second highest grossing game in the Apple Store, just behind this Harry Potter game. Again, now the Harry Potter one's a different language. So we got 1 million compared to 3 here out of the 6 total. So again, they're 1/6 of their revenue in the Apple Store. The downloads are a bit lower on the Apple side. Not sure why that is, but it looks like the downloads overall are a lot lower. There's 1 million for this new Harry Potter game, and then we've got 30. Again, if we sort here, we can see Rise to War is in 6th. So not terrible out of a pretty long list of games, but I don't think it's as substantial as the Google Play side. So overall, we're looking at 2 million in revenue. So 2 out of a total of 10 million, because they had 10 million total revenue on both app stores. So a fifth of all their revenue is Rise to War. And the downloads, I think there's 3 million total. It's at like 130,000. So not a crazy amount of downloads, but again, for the age of the game, I'm less concerned about that. But those are the stats in terms of revenue and downloads for the game. Now, again, one other thing I wanted to point out too is they do have their NetEase top-up center, which is not on Google Play or Apple. So I don't think there's a way to track that, but they're making money through their own top-up center, through their own website. That's not going through these services, which means they are making more through that. Shameless plug, use the link in the description to use my affiliate link through that. Again, they make more money, which you may or may not care about, but it actually supports the channel as well. So if you want to do that, there's information down in the description below. But those are kind of the overall analytics for downloads and for revenue. All right, next up, I wanted to look at the kind of category rankings for it, just to give us a little bit better idea of how it's doing amongst other games in its category. These are not, crazy good numbers in my opinion, but again, just wanted to share them with you guys. So starting, you can see the last one we have access to here is July 12th. So a month ago, we were at rank 15 in the category of grossing game/simulation. So 15th in its category. and it goes down, all the way down to 30, and then it goes up to 23, and then it goes down to 39 to 51, up to 31, 53, and then at the peak here, it's back up to 20th as of 2 days ago, and then down to 30. So it's fluctuating quite a bit from 15th to all the way down to the 50s. Again, I don't think it should be a shocking one. I think this is already kind of a niche genre of game, and it's a Lord of the Rings mobile game. So I'm not expecting this thing to be #1 by any means. But if you guys wanted to see how it's going in the last month, we've gone from 15th to 32nd is like the full range, but we've gone all the way up from 15 to down to 53 at the lowest. Now, this is the Google Play side. That was Apple. And the Google Play side, it's a bit lower. I don't know why that is. If you guys have any idea, let me know. But on Google Play, we started out at 37. Same thing, actually holds pretty steady and then drops down all the way to 46 and then up to 38. So we started at 37, it's at 38. So there's very consistent on the Google Play side. I don't know why there's such a difference. Whereas on this one, again, I don't know exactly. It just says category rankings. I don't know 100% what that means, what category it's ranking it in, but it's definitely lower in the Google Play Store, but it's more consistent. Whereas in the Apple Store, it seems like it's just up and down all the way into below, like it gets below the ranking here where it's 46, but it does get higher as well. So take that for what you will, but those are the category rankings for the Rise to War. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about two things that will help improve the revenue and downloads for this game. Again, I've got a lot of vested interest for this game to do well, and I just enjoy it. So I never want to just point things out. I'm trying to share, hey, this is what I think, for the devs, if they were watching, this is what I think as a player who plays this game all the time, what could help it. So the first one, and probably the most major one, in my opinion, that's going to help this game make more money, is commander balancing, leading to kind of a wider meta as well as new commanders being brought into the game. Obviously, it makes sense if there's new characters being brought in, they're going to make a lot of money, but I would be very upset if they just start rolling out a bunch of new characters without balancing the current environment we have. Now, they did say their PBE test servers, part of the goal of those is to test commanders and balance things out, and they're really working on changing the commander environment. So assuming that did happen and go well, then I think we have the stage set to start bringing in some more of our favorite characters. Again, there's lots of characters in the Lord of the Rings universe, so I think some characters brought in, if we had a balanced environment, would be very good. But obviously, if they just keep bringing new characters out who aren't good, or we have lots of bad characters, I think that's going to rub players the wrong way. So I think this could go really well, where they balance things and bring in new characters, or if they just bring in new characters and don't balance the environment, I think it's going to upset players and lead to a lot of players leaving the game, to be honest. So that's one thing I think that could majorly help. The next thing is in their Kings of Men campaign, and this might be rolling out to all the servers. Again, these new campaign features are very not communicated. Like, they say something, but then we don't get a lot more details beyond that. So there are passes now in the Kings of Men campaigns. I'll put a picture up on the screen. So as you can see here, there are 55 level 50 armies, as well as 70 million siege to get through these passes. And there's like 6 of them going in and out of every single region in the entire server. So I think that is a step in the right direction to help balance the experience for all players, because if you're with a slightly smaller group, this really means you're not going to get rolled in the first 3 days. You're going to have a little bit more time to get yourself built up. It's going to be a little bit easier to defend against. If you have a pass and someone's coming in, you can defend against it a little bit easier, trying to snipe siege, whatever. So I think the passes are a great start for this, but the point I want to make is that I think they need to expand this even more. We made a video I'll put up in the top right, kind of comparing passes to Rise of Kingdoms as a game. And I think if we can move a little bit closer to that, where there are timers, you can't go back in starting zones up to a certain point, or whatever it is, I think that would be very, very good for the game. Now, again, I love the Rise to War. I love Lord of the Rings. The only reason I'd want things to change is if I think it's better for the health of the game. There were some comments from people, which again, every opinion's valid, but there were some comments like, oh, if I want to play Rise of Kingdoms, I just play that. And maybe you're not wrong, but at the end of the day, the experience for the vast majority of players is pretty brutal. When you go in and go up against these big groups and just get stomped and have 6 weeks of inactivity, that is going to lead to players not playing the game. So I think if they expand the whole pass feature to all the campaigns and implement some things to kind of safeguard players' early game resources and kind of that starting portion of the season, I think it could go a long way. And again, in their dev interview videos, that's what they talk about wanting to do. They say they want to improve that experience. They don't want large groups just kind of crushing everybody and having dead servers. They don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. Obviously, groups want to compete and have fun, but nobody wants to have a dead server. So they've kind of alluded to wanting to do these things, but we just haven't seen exactly what that's going to look like. Passes are kind of the first iteration of that. So I do think if they implement passes, and they continue that kind of process, I think it's gonna be very good. Obviously paired with the kind of balancing of commanders. And we all love new commanders. If they actually balance the commander environment and then added Balrog commander, I think they make a crap ton of money. And I don't think anyone's going to point the finger. Again, it's a mobile game. It has to make money to have the support that we want it to have. So I'm okay with it making money, but I think there needs to be a respect back at the player base, if you will. So they respect the player base by making these changes that I think people want and kind of deserve. Then I think then in turn the game deserves to do well. So I think it can be a win-win relationship for players and developer. It doesn't have to be so you know, I don't know, hostile or whatever. But anyway, I just want to share with you guys those stats and analytics so you could see beyond just our own opinions of how the game's doing, actually how it's doing. And as far as NetEase games are concerned, it's, you know, 1/5 of their overall revenue for all their games. That's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. And then you can see overall in the category where it's ranking anywhere from like the 15th to the 50th mark. So it gives us an idea, I think, of how it's actually doing. But let me know down below what you think of this. Again, what things do you think, what like one major thing would be that game changer for the game that gets new players in and enjoying the game and downloading the game? Again, is it better ads? Because the mobile game ads are always like terrible. I don't know what it is, but seriously, let me know what you guys think down below. And as always, I'll see you in a future video.